Hello everyone, and welcome to Tama's podcast. I hope you're right, and I hope you're having a lovely, what's it today? Wednesday. Okay, so today I am going to be talking to a former colleague of mine. So before working where I am right now, I used to work in a school, and I met this lovely person that when I needed her the most, when I needed to do my English GCSE in order to be a teacher, she was there to help. And what can I say? So not only you work as a teacher, you plan and mark and deal with a lot of things that teachers have to deal with, and you also help me. I don't know what to say. That was so fantastic. And I remember that that was during Christmas period, and she was leaving the job, and I'm like, why would you leave being a teacher? Because back then I wasn't a teacher, I was actually a TA, a teaching assistant. And I'm like, being a teacher is so amazing. You get to work with kids, you get to work with staff, it's so fantastic. And I was like, what's going on? It's only when I became a teacher myself that I realized how hard it actually is, and how I understand her fully, because I'm like, it's really not easy. Okay, so she's gonna be telling us. So my former colleague, yeah, is Sabrina. She's gonna tell me what she's been up to after leaving the profession. Does that work? Gonna try again. Bear with me, Sabrina. It should come now. Hello,
Hi,
Sabrina.
Thelma. How are
I'm
you?
finding you.
I'm good. It's lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see you too. So, I want to know, why did you leave the teaching profession? What makes you quit?
So basically, at the stage that I left the teaching profession, I'd been teaching for about 13 or 14 years. And I'd sort of worked my way up to middle management. I qualified as an NQT, got my first job, and I literally stayed in the same school because it was a lovely school, lovely environment. There was lots of opportunities there. The kids were great, staff was great. And I ended up being there for over a decade. And it was a job that I loved, but as you kind of progress up the ladder, it becomes more and more time consuming. It's obviously really hard work, no matter what your role is in a school.
Don't leave us. Sorry about this. Eh, eh, eh. Sorry, Sabrina, are you here? Sorry, what happened? You
But I
okay?
don't know, it just cut out.
Yes. So you were saying that there was a lot of more duties and things for you to do.
Yeah, so there was lots of responsibility. I'd been doing the role, so I was a year learning coordinator at the time that I stepped down and left. But I also got pregnant with my third and fourth child at that time. And ultimately, I then had four children, and the two youngest were only a year apart. And I just thought, actually, I don't want to sacrifice my family life anymore. I actually want to be here for my children, and experience them growing up and spend lots of time with them. And so ultimately I decided to leave, and that is what I did. And I left literally just as lockdown hit. So I potentially could have milked it and stayed for another year because everyone was working from home, but I didn't. I left just before 2020, when the whole world sort of stopped. And it just gave me an opportunity to really reflect on my life, what I wanted from my life, and just how I wanted to parent my children. I had two older children who, when they were younger, I worked full time the whole way through all of their lives. And I mean, there's pros and cons to, that level of commitment to your career. And it was what I needed to do at the time. I needed to kind of build my career, earn as much money as possible. And it put me in a position where we were really stable. We had decent income coming in. We could buy a house and all of those sorts of things. But on the downside, it meant that everybody else, the sort of village, my family and, you know, nurseries and childcare and all sorts had to step in when I couldn't be there because I'd be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning and not leave until 7 o'clock at night on some days, given
Yeah.
whatever going on, give or take. Um, and I just made a decision that I just didn't want to do that anymore. So I just tried to manifest a situation where I could have an income coming in, but um, had a bit more time for family life and my children.
Well done. And when you, I remember when you were making that speech, you say, "Oh, I'm gonna take over the internet and do a blog." So I read some of your blog and I looked some of your YouTube videos. So can you tell us, post teaching, what did you do with yourself? So I thought, I know you've done some blogging
Mm,
and YouTubing.
yeah.
So tell us, how did you get into that?
So my background is, so as a teacher, I'm an English teacher, a secondary English teacher, and my degree is actually in journalism. So I've always been interested in writing and things like that. So when I left teaching, and like I said, lockdown hit at that time, we all had a bit more time on our hands, and there was a struggle amongst just women, and women sort of united, particularly because they were doing childcare, home care, cooking, trying to deal with their own mental health and all of those sorts of things. And I just started writing about my experiences in motherhood. And I've just got this element about me that is just really honest. So there are certain things that some people wouldn't necessarily talk about. And I think if you read some of my blogs, when I first started my blog page, the feedback that I was getting from mothers and parents was that this is really raw and this is really honest, and you're showing the good things and those really dark times. Because for me, having two children that were only a year apart, and my fourth baby was not planned, it was a surprise baby. Baby number three came along, and then baby number four just appeared, and I was like, wait, I wasn't planning for this. It sort of turned my world upside down. And so I had to readjust and learn to live with my new life.
Yeah.
And I just started writing about it. Um, I've always been one of those mothers who really believes wholeheartedly in experiences and capital culture, and making sure that your children sort of go everywhere and experience everything within whatever means that you have. And so what I started doing was I built my Instagram page um, as a platform to kind of share just what I was doing with the kids, whether that was at home in lockdown, whether it was nature walks that we were going on, or all of the days out adventures and holidays that we sort of go on. And I get lots of inspiration from other people.
Mhm.
I love social media. I find it inspirational mostly, but there are obviously times when it can be a bit overwhelming and you think, oh god, that person's life looks so great and mine doesn't feel so great at the moment. And so I think it's healthy to sometimes just live your own life and live, you know, without actually watching everybody else. But I kind of use it as a platform and a way to kind of just share
Yeah.
what you're doing in your life. I find inspiration, like I say, from lots of other
Mhm.
people, whether it's women who are exercising and working out. That really motivates me to get fit and stay fit and go to the gym every day. Um, and ultimately, it's just created opportunity for a slightly more wholesome lifestyle. So
Mhm.
just to jump forward, after lockdown, what I did was I got a project management job at a charity organisation called The World Reimagined, and I led on their schools program and their learning program. So I was the senior learning program manager, and basically led on a nationwide um, creative arts project that was all about Black history, creating a curriculum that taught Black history. And I delivered lots of training to teachers in schools across the country, and then also developed a curriculum that was about Black history. So it was a job that was remote. I got to work from home. I got to tap into some of my skills from my previous experience working with schools and teachers and things like that, creating a curriculum, which was obviously part of my job as a teacher, and got to travel up and down the country, sharing knowledge about something that I'm actually really truly passionate about, because Black history in the UK isn't taught in the way that it really needs to be.
Yeah.
So that was something that I did for 2 years, and that allowed me the balance to kind of work around my children, be able to take them to school, nursery, be at home when they came home, and work in the days when they sort of were off doing their own things in the daytime. And it just showed me that there is a way that you can kind of, have a lot more balance, because when I was teaching towards the end, I actually just felt really burnt out. And I felt like the expectation on me and my role and my responsibilities were just too, it wasn't sustainable to kind of work in the way that I'd been working for over a decade. And I think that if I'd stayed there and carried on doing that, I'd be half of the person that I am now.
Yeah.
Um, I've just got so much more time to kind of not only look after my family and focus my attention on them, but actually really look after myself, my mental health, my physical health, and all of those sorts of things. So,
I mean, would you go back to teaching one day?
so interestingly, I still do teach. So I don't know how I've done it, but I've manifested all of these positions where I can actually work remotely from home. And so I now work for the National Online School. So out of lockdown, what happened was is there was lots of issues where there were young people who just didn't go back to school, or there were school refusers, or there were children with additional needs that just found it too overwhelming to be back in the classroom in the traditional setting. And so there were lots of online opportunities that came up to kind of tutor and bridge the gaps in education for young people who had had just long periods of time away from school, or who were refusing to go back to school for various different social, emotional, and health reasons. And out of that situation, there's a handful of online schools which are now being accredited by Ofsted as online provisions, full schools, where we get students through their GCSEs. We provide them with home education, with a full, complete curriculum, and making sure that they can sort of learn and have the support that is really tailored to them. So we have children who are autistic, we have children who are in care and for various different reasons have been out of education because they've had to move around. We've got children who are school refusers, or whose families have fallen apart, and that has impacted their learning. And so I've successfully got lots of children over the past 3 years through their GCSEs in a really personalised and tailored way. And so I still do teach. I teach
Yeah.
every day, but I do it only half day. So I teach in the morning until about 12 o'clock, and then the rest of the day is mine. And that's why I've got the freedom and the flexibility to do the blogging, to make the YouTube videos that I'm doing. And my platform's still growing. It's by no means is it like, really blown up, but I'm in the position where I'm like, I'm actually really learning loads about editing, about honing my camera skills and things like that, going through the editing process, and I'm just enjoying that as a process for myself. So whether anyone watches or not is neither here nor there. I think people are watching, because I do get comments, and I do get people saying to me, that was good, or I really liked that you did that, and things like that. But I think it's just about putting yourself out there. I'm happy to share. I get inspired by other people, and I hope people feel inspired by some of the things that I do with the kids and in my own family life, or in the way that I choose to work and look after myself now, because it has been a complete shift and a complete career change.
Yes, I have to say the reason why I've been contacting you, because I did keep in touch while you do it, and I'm like, look at this. This is so fantastic. We used to work together, and as I
Yeah,
said to you, I know you. I remember you were helping me, you're teaching me,
yeah.
and I never. I mean, I became a teacher, let's say 2 years ago, I think, and I never knew how hard that
Well,
was
I'm
because
really proud of you, because I can remember encouraging you and saying, look, this is something that you can do. I can remember you being a teaching assistant and working in the special education team,
yeah,
and supporting students in class, and actually just being so great with the children. And,
thank you.
there is an issue and a shortage of teachers in education, just because people can't find a way to make it sustainable for them. The demands on teachers, the classroom sizes, all of these different things are huge issues. And like you said, once you qualified, you probably had a real insight into just how difficult it is.
Yeah. That's
So
another conversation altogether.
I know, but I'm proud of you for, like, you know, sticking with it and being determined to prove to yourself that it was something that you can do, because the way that you had with the kids was definitely something special. And that's what really takes a good teacher a long way, the relationship building between the children.
Yes, I mean, I've got to say the one thing about teaching, there's lots of admin, there's a lot of trainings like non-stop. Sometimes I'm even so tired. I'm thinking, I've been teaching all day and you
I
expect
know.
to sit there for 1 hour to listen to that conversation. I'm like, I want to just go home and
I
relax.
know. There's just not enough hours in the day to do everything that needs to be done, is
No,
there?
no. And I remember the reason why I'm doing this is because some of my pupils from last year, they checked my name and I did videos like long time ago. So I've got a background in journalism and filmmaking. I actually went to school and done that. They said,
Yeah,
but Miss Diaz, why are you not doing that? You should be doing that, Miss Diaz. I'm thinking, I was like telling them, like, look, you guys don't understand how hard it is. And I was
yeah,
explaining to them. And they said,
yeah.
but you need to talk more with people. That's your talent. You like to talk. You're teaching means
Absolutely.
talking. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do something for them. Let me try and
Mm,
see if I can have people on like you
mm.
that can, inspire people, like you are yourself inspired by other
But
people. I feel like that's a full circle. That's amazing.
I think it's important that you lean into your interests and your talents and the things that, you know, really make you feel driven, that, you know, stimulate your mind. Like you say, like doing journalism or filmmaking and, you know, all of that creative things. It's not always easy, and you need to really challenge your mind and really
Yeah,
put your mind to it to kind of, you know, be consistent. Like, I find consistency really difficult. I'm really trying to be as consistent as possible in the content that I create and that I'm making and putting out there. But it's a growing process, and it's slow, and you've got to have patience. And like I said, I just kind of share what I can when I can, and I hope that people take something from it. And if they don't, they can move on. And if they do, then, you know, it's nice to have them as a part of that community.
that's amazing. Please carry on what you're doing. Now, my last question for you is what would you say to young people to inspire them to do what you do, like the blogging, the YouTubing, if they want their parents? What is your advice for them?
In all honesty, it would be just get started. The benefits of the internet means that you have got a vast range of information, technology, websites that mean that you can actually put your own information out there and make it accessible to people absolutely straight away. If you're doing a blog, you can use sites like WordPress, and there are lots of different providers where, with a click of a few buttons, you can create a web page and you can get typing and, like, literally write your own article or blog and say whatever it is that you want to say. Um, Back in the day when I studied journalism, I wanted to be a magazine journalist, and I did get to work in the industry right at the start of my career. And then you would have to write an article. It would go to to the sub editors, and then the editor would look at it, and then it might make it into the magazine and be published. Whereas now, you don't need a publisher to do any of that for you. You've got a vast array of free resources online, which means that you can publish your own work instantly. So just do
Mm,
it. And what
that's
happens is that if you're consistent, gradually you do build a community. If you're writing about something, and there's such a huge array of different topics that people can choose from. So if they lean into their interests and wherever their values lie, write about those, create content about those, use platforms such as Instagram and YouTube. You know, on Instagram and TikTok, the sort of short and longer, quick content is really, really popular. On YouTube, longer vlog style content is really popular. People are watching from all over the world. If you go onto YouTube, you can see that there are some videos that have got millions or even billions of views. There are enough people in the world to watch whatever
yeah.
content is out there. So if you're consistent and you are posting things on a regular basis, you're doing your research, you're authentic and true to yourself, I think eventually you will build a community, build a community, and I think don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Like I said, half the time I don't even know if anyone's watching or reading my content, and that's not what it's about. It's actually about me getting value in producing and sharing, and the creative process of either creating a blog, taking images that go alongside that, publishing that and sharing it, or filming and editing a video, and getting it up on the day that I've put in my diary that I've actually said is actually going to go out without actually missing the deadline. Do you know what I mean? So just trying to be consistent, and I think just get started. There's nothing stopping you from just doing it, and don't worry about what anybody else thinks. It really doesn't matter.
You're totally right. I want to say thank you so much for your time. A big hello to your family, and I
Thank
hope
you,
I'll
you
see
too.
you one day.
Absolutely. If you stay in touch and keep doing what you're doing, this is a fantastic idea, and I'm really happy to support you and to just feature on your channel. It's great work.
Thank you so much, and we'll
All
keep it.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.